Hello, so this is going to be a very interesting video, and I have no idea what's really going to come about it. Those who actually theorycraft Devastation specifically will have a way better idea of figuring this out, but from my own theorycrafting of this and my own simming of it as well, it seems to be a pretty... I wouldn't say a big deal at all, but it seems to be a potential new build that is on the table, specifically for single target. Well, basically single target, meaning like you will still do single target even in M+, but you will pretty much be able to use this in raid as well, I'd presume. Anyways, so as I said, this is going to be a Firestorm build. I know a lot of people have stated that Firestorm is not really good single target, but this one actually has no sacrifices. The only sacrifice that you actually do have is not using Charged Blast and Iridescence, but we haven't really been using Iridescence at all this expansion so far. That was a Dragonflight thing. With this, everything works out well. I'll actually show the talent tree after this. But one of the key things that Firestorm had an issue with, it was actually like multiple of them. One, you had to give up Shattering Star. Now with the extra talent point that we got not too long ago, we were able to pretty much put that anywhere else. Well, now we're able to put it into things such as this. And then number two, we had to give up a lot of single target for it. Now we kind of have that single target thanks to either bombardments or melt armor affecting our essence spells. And number three, finally, was enemies would easily be moved out of our Firestorm. Now, if you ever look at the fights within this expansion so far, a lot of them are stationary for upwards of 10 plus seconds. Now, when it comes to this build, you're actually able to have Firestorm and Shattering Star. So, if you do the math, not including the upcoming change that will happen to Firestorm, you'll have upwards of 4 to 6 seconds. It's 6 seconds after the change, so we'll just keep it as that. That's 6 seconds if played optimally, where you don't have a 20% damage increase on your spenders, so like Disintegrate or Pyre. So, pretty much as follows. I didn't do this very well. This is my very first play of the day, but this is how I presume the thing would go out. So you'd still do the normal dev rotation, but after you put down Deep Breath, you would put down Firestorm and do the same as following like this. So I'll just let it play. Yeah, but pretty much out of this, as I said before, if you had the option... Here, let me switch to game really quick. If you had the option to switch to either like Firestorm or Shattering Star based on whatever situation you're in, it would actually work well if you wanted to do that. That's actually probably how you would ultimately do it if you were on the move. So like, if you knew an enemy or a particular boss was going to be stationary, then you have more optimal ways of putting on Firestorm. It's kind of the same thing with Azure Strike and Living Flame. Living Flame you always want to cast, but if you're always on the move, like if it's a fight where you're constantly moving, Azure Strike would be your best option. This is kind of the same thing that I look at it. It's a little more broader, I guess, or a little more weird. So Firestorm would be more of something that you would cast while you were stationary, where Shattering Star would basically be something on the move. It's something rough like that, but oh, I'm in combat. Alright, I was actually gonna show you exactly what I meant here. So with my current gear, I'm not obviously like the best well equipped, don't have the best stats. I'm just random 4A gear. Just anything that I had I threw on basically, or upgraded. But you would do the normal rotation, and I think at the highest I was receiving, I was getting barely just under 1 million crits per tick of Disintegrate, which I've never seen before unless you were specifically fighting an enemy that increased your damage, like externally. So you would have it show like something like this. So you would Deep Breath, Dragon Rage. Well, you would probably Dragon Rage after the Firestorm to actually have it increased, but you would do your normal... I'm messing up my rotation right now, but you would do your normal rotation as following, and you would try to put a Firestorm before Dragon Rage, so you can actually get the damage increase on the 3 pyres that it sends. And you would just keep putting Firestorm down, and you doesn't seem like you lose like any single target. In fact, you actually gain a bit. So the thing that I sent involving it, it was increasing my total damage by a little more than 1% in total, which obviously is nothing major at all, but the fact that it's still a 1% damage increase while having this type of build, which is the build right here, you still have all of your stuff involving Shattering Star. You still have your Eye of Infinity, or Event Horizon, whatever you want to use, Shattering Star, and then Arcane Vigor, while also going into these. So the total percentage that your Disintegrate, or I guess spenders in general, is being increased by is 100%. I didn't do the math on exactly how long it's going to be 100%, but it can go up to 100% if you line everything up perfectly. So for one, you get 10% from, what was it, Melt Armor. So you get that for 12 seconds after deep breath hitting. If you are hitting something that's purely single target, which is not always going to be the case, it's Season 1 is very cleave, especially raid fights. So any pure single target thing, you would do 30% in total. And then the 30% from, or not the 30%, the 20% from Feed the Flames. So hitting anything with your Pyro Disintegrate inside your Firestorm. On top of the 10% increase from Imminent Destruction, and then of course the 20% from Shattering Star. As I said, all equals up to 100% increased damage. You can do the math if you want to on stuff like that, but if you have everything lined up perfectly, it will reach that percentage for 4 seconds. It's basically going by the 4 seconds of Shattering Star. Otherwise, it's going to be 80% for most of it. So if you have any comments about this or anything like that, leave it down in the comments section below. You can actually do the same with Flame Shaper. Obviously, Flame Shaper does less damage than Scale Commander. Your spenders will actually be doing less, but if you wanted to do a more single target build like this, then you could. It would actually be a way greater of an increase than the current builds that are out there. If you look at the Devastation guides in Mallhead at the moment, I actually send this particular build up against every single one of them. And this was a 2% or 1 to 2% increase across the board for every single target one that a Preheat had listed in raid. So yeah, if you joined us, then I'll just say thank you for watching.